Insurance companies are asking more questions than ever before. And to understand why, it helps to remember how insurance really works. Premiums, payouts, and deductibles, all driven by risk. Fortunately, we have an insurance expert with us to help with this part of the program, Terri Guest of Prendiville Insurance. You'll see how there are some risk factors you can't do anything about, like the building's age and location. But many other risk factors are in your control, like maintenance, repairs, reserve projects, and all the preventive care you can do to avoid weather and wildfire events. So, what are the insurers evaluating today as they set premiums? What questions are they asking? Watch and learn why your reserve study and maintenance history now play a much bigger role in how your association is viewed by insurance companies. When we get to this point, I'm going to change gears and introduce our welcome Terri to the program. So Terri, it's all you now. So please, what is going on here?
What the heck is going
What
on?
the heck?
So thank you for having me. First off, it's a pleasure to be here. So just a reminder of how insurance companies work and what an insurance policy actually is. It is a contract between an insurance carrier and the insured. The contract says the insured is going to pay money to the insurer in case something bad happens. And if something bad happens, the insurer under that contract, if the bad thing meets the qualifications of that contract, will pay for the bad thing that happened. Premium is what the insured pays the carrier. The payout for a claim is what the carrier pays the insured if something bad happens. The deductible is, I love how you put this, it's participation by the consumer. It's your buy-in to take a little bit of responsibility for what's going on. And I said this last time, I say this often, insurance is kind of like legalized gambling. You're kind of taking the risk and transferring it to, you are taking the risk and transferring it to be someone else's responsibility if something bad happens. So that's what insurance is. It's a contract between you and you or the community and the insurance carrier to take the responsibility of something bad happening and putting it on someone else. So when we're looking at insurance premiums and how they're calculated, insurance carriers look at a few things. Some things are under the control of the insured and some are not. So when we're talking about community associations, there are several things that are completely out of our hands, but that go very much into the calculation of the premium. And those things are the age of the property. You can't control when your community was built. You can't control where it was built. If it's built in the middle of a forest or in a hurricane or earthquake zone, in a wildfire zone, you are where you are, location. And you also can't control when a storm comes or an earthquake comes or a flood comes. Those things are out of your control. You can't control how big your association is, how it was constructed. Many communities are wood frame construction. Some of them are concrete construction. All of these things you have zero control over. They just are. So what can you control? These are the things you want to concentrate on so that you can make changes to affect your insurance premium. You want to reduce the risk of your common area and your private spaces. You want to perform routine maintenance and make sure that you keep your community up to the standards. Proactive care when it comes to especially wildfire hazards right now, like clearing brush. California folks are getting very used to the Zone 0 laws that are coming into play now. And then this last one might be new language for some folks, payout limitations. So in the past, your evaluation of your community, let's say your community was valued at $20 million. That's how much it would cost to replace that entire community if it was a total and complete loss. Well, now some carriers are looking at those communities and saying, well, wait a second, that roof is over 15 years old. And it's not really worth that anymore. Kind of like if you think about car insurance, if you have a 5-year-old car or a 10-year-old car and it gets totaled, knock on wood, it doesn't, the insurance company isn't going to pay for you to buy a brand new car to replace something that was old. The same now is starting to be more and more true when it comes to roofs. But if you are properly funding your reserve and following what your reserve study is suggesting, And this is what the insurance carriers are actually hoping and counting on. If you look at your reserve study and your roof is 10 years old, and let's say it has a useful life of 30 years, if you're following, you should have enough in your reserves to combine with what the insurance is going to pay you for the actual value of the roof to replace the whole thing. So those two combined together should pay for replacing your roof. So, and again, that's called actual cash value. That's being applied mostly to roofs. Hopefully it doesn't apply to much else, but you never know what insurance carriers are going to pull on us now.
Yeah. Well, Terri, that's a good language there. What insurance carriers are going to pull on us. I've heard people complaining to me about, I can't get insurance for my 15-year-old roof. And I think, why do you really care? Because you should have reserves in place, because if you're just about, let's say, a month from replacing it and you get hit by a hailstorm, why is that the insurance company's problem? That's what you set aside reserves for. And that's what got my brain spinning during your presentation about, the intersection of reserves and insurance, how they start to work together, where one hands off to the other.
Exactly. And I mean, it's a cooperative arrangement, right? And this is, honestly, it's the way it should have been all along, if you think about it. And the insurance companies are just now figuring it out. Wait a second, they should be planning to replace this anyway. Insurance is not a maintenance fund. It's not a warranty fund. It's a fund. It's a policy that will help you get back to where you were before the bad thing happened. But you need to be keeping up your end of the bargain on the other side. So yeah, it's absolutely a good compliment.
And in the environment where costs are going up so much and consumers are cost conscious, there's a way for insurers to say, hey, you don't need me to replace your roof. You've got the money for it in reserves. So let's lower your premium because to eliminate that possible payout.
Exactly.
Okay.
Hopefully they'll lower the premium.
Well, it won't be as high as if they had to replace an entire roof, an entire old roof.
So when we're talking about insurance companies and what they're looking at, they're going to be looking at your reserve study. Almost every insurance carrier now is asking to see a copy of the reserve study. Now, for many years, insurance professionals such as myself have been asking to see the reserve study anyway, because we're looking at what the components are there. We're using that information to help us figure out how to properly insure the community. But now the insurance carriers are using it for the same reason, but also they want to see how good of a job the community is doing at taking care of itself. They want to see how many components have a remaining useful life, RUL, of 0 or approaching 0. Are you funding as recommended? I know in some states funding is required, other states it's not required. But the insurance carriers are looking at all of that. They are looking at what kind of roof you have, how old is it, what material is it. They're actually asking for roof warranties if you have a newer roof. So the older roofs are usually like 10, 15 years or older. Those are the ones that are going to end up with actual cash value. The newer roofs, 10 years or younger, I believe, they're going to want to see a copy of the warranty for that roof. They're going to want to know, and it's a fair question. I mean, they're the ones that are taking responsibility for paying for it if something bad happens. They want to know exactly what they're getting into. So it's a very fair question, I believe. Other questions that they're asking for: when did you complete this project that might appear on the reserve study, like fence replacement or trees, getting rid of trees, or doing arborist studies and things like that. Infrastructure inspections are something that's newer being added to reserve studies. I love this. So in the past, reserve studies were, what was it? You were looking at things that had a remaining useful life of 30 years or less.
Yeah, generally.
So now you have all of these communities that are really getting up in age, and some of those older infrastructure items that were never on the reserve study before, they're starting to get added because those things are starting to fail. And we've found, and it's super helpful, that maybe they're not failing yet, but let's at least reserve for an inspection of those items. So we have money to inspect them, and that's getting on the schedule to have these things inspected. The types of things that we want to see inspection reports for are electrical panels. I know a lot of you have heard the term Zinsco panels. There's a lot more companies that make electrical panels on that list besides Zinsco, but that's the one that everyone recognizes. Not just the electrical panels, though, but also what type of electrical do you have in the walls? Is it aluminum? Is it knob and tube? How old is your community and how old is that electrical system? The plumbing, we want to know that the carriers are going to want to know, is it copper? Is it cast iron? Is it something else? Is it PEX? They want to know exactly what it's made out of. So if you're looking at your reserve study and you have a line item in there for an inspection, and we know that inspection got done, that's great. I'm probably going to turn around and ask you for a copy of that inspection report, or you can preload it and give it to me right when we're going to go out to bid. If we have those ahead of time, that would be great. But it's great to have those reports, good or bad. If they're bad, you want to know what's on them so you can reserve and spend your reserve money to fix those issues. If they're good, great. You can say, yes, we have old electrical panels, but we had them inspected by an electrician and they're in perfect working order. That's exactly what I would love to hear. Other things that insurance carriers are doing, internet evaluation and drone inspections. Drone inspections are more often happening after a company has bound insurance. They're going out to get a kind of a baseline of what the community looks like after insurance has been bound. Internet evaluations usually happen before, during the underwriting process. So they're going to go online and look at Google Street View. They're going to go look at Zillow and Redfin and look at property pictures inside of the units and outside of the units to see how the community looks. Is it being well taken care of? They're looking at trees. They're looking at asphalt. They're looking at trip hazards. They're looking at all different types of things. So you might, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later, you might do a preemptive search to see what you can find about your own community on the internet.
Yeah, well, Terri, actually, that's not surprising. When we prepare to do a reserve study, when we're asked for a proposal, the first thing we do is do a satellite view to see how many buildings, what they looks like, how complicated they are, access problems. And if you guys are preparing to make a proposal for an association, same thing. Yeah, you're just going to poke around, and if it's going to be what's a premium, $50,000, $100,000 for that kind of a premium, it's worth a half hour or more poking around on the internet just to see what you're up against.
Exactly.
It's not just the form and cross your fingers. You're going to be there reaping. At Association Reserves, we make the present less stressful and the future more secure. If you want to join us in this mission, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment down below on what you'd like to see us address in a future video. Let's plan for your best future.